Hello again, and welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel, whichever way you pick. Today we'll be looking at the 10th Doctor's Sonic Screwdriver by Rubbertoe Replicas. We fans of Doctor Who, myself included, have waited years for Nick Rubbertoe to make this particular replica. In fact, we begged him. That was when it was nothing more than a wishful dream, of course, because in between 2019 and 2020, Nick made that wishful dream into a reality. And when it was available for pre-order, we rushed to the chance. Throughout this year, as trying as it was, we waited for our Sonics, and we received them. And then, 2 weeks ago, on December 24th, I received mine. I'm number 77 of the run here. You might see my nagging comments if you follow Nick on Instagram. Let's not waste any more time, and dive into this review. Allons-y. So here's the box. It's made of tin, or aluminium. It's a great mix of grandiose and simple, so much so that it seems like a new Apple product to me. The top is decorated with these lovely Gallifreyan writings here, and on the middle of the lid here you see the title, 10th Doctor Sonic Screwdriver by Rubbertoe Replicas, as well as this the DW logo from 2010. Now, opening the box, you see this paper here discussing the maintenance and care of the Sonic, as well as contact info should you run into a problem with your screwdriver. And you also get this lovely certificate of authenticity. As you can see, I am number 77 out of 300. Also, it is signed by Nick Rubbertoe himself. You get the same thing you get on the lid, and you also see this lovely art of the 2005 to the 2009 intro, the time vortex from there, as well as art here with Gallifreyan writing, as well as the TARDIS in a lime green nebula. Once that's all out of the way, you see this lovely foam sheet here. Why am I saying that a lot? With a circular window revealing the Sonic inside, outlined by Gallifreyan writing, engraved into the foam. And once you remove that foam, you are greeted with the Sonic itself. Wonderfully protected in strong foam, again, with Gallifreyan writing on it. And since the first thing you see, let's take a look at the Sonic itself. Okay, so here's the Rubbertoe 10th Sonic, and my god, is it brilliant. It's perfect, personally. It's so sleek and pristine. It reminds me, this thing feels like it's smack dab out of Series 4. Starting at the top here, you see the emitter head, along with the emitter lens. The emitter lens is made with a beautiful, deep, reflective blue resin, and it disguises the LED quite well. It's in that iconic shape where it just rises from the head and then halts and then makes that dome shape, as you can see here. And the emitter cage here has been cleanly machined. And it's even too. I love it. And the struts here are so thick. As a matter of fact, looking at the prop, using this image from Brian Terranova's RTD Sonic Era PDF, which I will link in the description, you can see how close Nick got this replica to his original work. Seeing as they're both made by the same maker, you'd expect that, wouldn't you? But moving back to the review, moving down to the collar section here with the teeth, they've been cut very nicely to the point where they fit flush together. Yeah, what can I say other than it's been wonderfully CNC'd? Never mind the little chip there. Yeah, it's so wonderful to look at. Same can be said about the body here. It has that nice, pristine, and tight crackle grid right here. This handle is completely made with this handle is made from aluminium and coated with crackle paint. And what I love about it is how it's dimensional. And also, every end that the crackle paint meets has this little, you'd even see it on the blue strip here, which shines perfectly, by the way. There's this little crackle wall. And in fact, looking at the universal remote, which, might I add, was scanned from David Tennant's personal prop, you can see how close the Rubbertoe gets to. I mean, it's the same effect with the crackle wall. So, this just goes to show you how accurate the Rubbertoe gets. Looking further into the handle, you'll see those lovely teardrop indentations in the handle. I love how thick they are and how round they are. Like, for example, say the MFX. Those are bulky, but they're also blocky. I mean, this thing is well dimensioned, very curvaceous. And the slider here, very well done. It's a quite smooth action, and also, sliding it up, you see the acrylic rod with the spiraled yellow wire inside. And let me share a little fact about this. You see, on the prop, and therefore on the CT, there's a theory going on that those were dry drilled, henceforth why the chamber where the yellow wire lays is frosted, and that's why over time it began to crack out of pressure. It's called crazing. But Nick here, he has decided to go with lubricated drilling. Henceforth why it's so clean, and over time it's not going to crack, so you'll get this effect for the long run, which is a sound choice, really. So while not accurate to the prop's construction, it's a much needed adjustment, really. Moving down to the bottom, you see, well, I forgot to mention these slotted screws that help hold the Sonic together, and I'll get into detail into that later. But you see the indented collar here on the aluminum. Very well done, or aluminium. And the black end cap here is made out of Delrin, which is accurate to the prop, and like the prop, it unscrews so that way you can get more access to the batteries. But on here, that's done a little differently. As a matter of fact, this whole thing is screw threaded, so it has a much stronger build than the prop per se, or the CT, mind you. That's enough for the aesthetics. Now let's move on to the functions. So pressing the activation button on the slider here will activate the blue LED and sound effects. Blue LED, accurate to the prop. You'll notice that it uses the 11th Doctor sound chip, which is odd considering this is the 10th Doctor. But that adds for more sound variation. For example, you'll also notice that it has a slight Doppler effect, but not as much on the CT, because it's much more louder. And the reason why is because you'll see here that the chamber is 3D printed rather than being brass, which gives more leeway for the sound chip, as well as, no problems with electric circuitry. Now that's about it for the sound effects. Now let's move on to battery exchange. Changing the batteries is fairly simple. Just unscrew the bottom rub screw here, but don't do it all the way because it's a little tricky putting it back in. Unscrew the bottom piece here. As I mentioned, this is screw threaded. And there are the batteries. In fact, they're much more revealed rather than the CT, and also there's a little hole back here which you can poke to take out the batteries. They take AG5 button cells. Also, if you look closely here, Nick also engraved some words onto here. So Rubbertoe, and over here near the batteries. Wait, what? He wrote down the 10th Doctor's last words. Funny. But why, Nick? Why? Moving on to accessories, you see this 3D printed and reflective, might I add, stand that looks like the 9th and 10th Doctor's TARDIS console, which you can slot into this little hole here on the base, which has Gallifreyan inscriptions within the blue disc here. You'll also notice that it has a USB plug, and once that's plugged in, it will illuminate a nice blue using white LEDs. And in this, when it's like this, you can take your screwdriver and display it either vertically or horizontally. I prefer it this way because, well, it gives you a nicer look. Either way, it's a wonderful display option. So overall, what are my thoughts on this replica? Well, it's brilliant. I mean, the neat and pristine nature of the screwdriver, the weight of it, the blue LED, the way it clicks whenever you activate it, it's just like on the show. I mean, seriously. This is probably the best Sonic replica of the 10th Doctor Sonic that we have had to date, probably ever. Who knows? Remember when I quoted Vogue Saxon in the last video and said the better the prop, the closer you feel to that franchise? Well, it rains down even stronger here, seeing that this is made by the same guy, Nick Rubbertoe, who handled the Series 4 props himself, has made this one. You might as well have just watched Series 4, reached into the screen when the Doctor pulled this thing out, and put it on your shelf. It's that close, and remembering how the crackle handles on the universal remote, which was scanned out of David Tennant's personal prop, I mean, there's no comparison. I mean, this is probably, it's close. It's accurate. I mean, and the toy here, mine is broken, by the way, doesn't even begin to compare. Doesn't even begin. Too oversized, and while a good thing to wave around and point, nothing compares to this. Nothing yet, as I've seen. This thing is up for grabs at Rubbertoe's website, so you can still get it. And with a limited edition and with it being a limited run of 300, best to get one while you can. And that about wraps up this review. Take a chance and like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Next week, well, no, not next week. Next video, I mean, we'll be asking the age-old question. Next time, it will be this: the Rubbertoe or the Celestial Toy Store? And with that, goodbye.